Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And thank you to the witnesses for joining us to discuss the lack of financial accountability that's all too prevalent within the DOD. As we all know, the Pentagon had its first ever independent audit in 2017, but failed that audit. And it's also failed every audit subsequently. Unsurprisingly, in November of 22, DOD announced that it failed its most recent audit, unable to account for more than half of its assets. It's extremely concerning that our largest federal agency can't properly identify up to half its assets, and today I want to focus on some smaller issues that are contributing to that. In the GAO report released on May 23rd on the accountability of spare parts, the GAO found that 1 million parts have been, quote, lost since 2018. The report said DOD and contractors cannot agree on how spare parts should be categorized. This lack of agreement affects how DOD processes lost parts. For example, about 500,000 lost parts worth $85 million, DOD was only able to review the circumstances surrounding 2% of identified losses since 2018. Mr. Khan, this question's for you. Can you provide additional context for the committee? What is your definition of a quote-unquote lost part?
When the parts do not match what's in the record, and what's in the record do not match the part which is in the warehouse.
And do auditors currently have the ability to identify and differentiate which parts are actually lost and those which are simply excess inventory?
No.
Is that a problem?
That's a huge problem.
So would it be much better to have to differentiate these categories?
Yes.
How do we do that?
By inventorying them correctly, by tagging them, by having the right information in the records as to which part is obsolete and which part is still serviceable.
What needs to be done to accomplish that?
Better records, better policy and procedures, so somebody follows through with their guidance to make sure that information is in the record.
Is it harder? I know that Mr. Connolly was discussing the 400 different systems. Is that part of the problem? If there was fewer, if it was more streamlined, would it be able to accomplish that?
That's part of the problem. In this case, a lot of these spare parts are managed by contractors. So there needs to be proper guidance for the DOD personnel to require the contractors to provide that information.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Mansfield, speaking specifically on the F-35 program, what percentage of parts have been lost in the last 5 years? I'm sorry.
I don't know the specific number on that.
Okay. It seems that the rate is fairly low, given the information that I'm looking at. So you don't know the answer to that. So what is the overall goal for the Defense Department as it relates to lost parts?
So I can't speak for the department's overall goal, only because we provide oversight of the department, but what I could say their goal should be is there should be no lost parts, right? 100% inventory accuracy in terms of parts.
I think that's a great goal, but I mean, I think 0% is probably not attainable, but I mean, sure. I would say somewhere low single digits is a good objective. What methods do you think could be implemented to lower lost part percentages?
Sure. So specifically for the Joint Strike Fighter, because those are government assets that are controlled by a contractor, the fundamental thing, there's 3 things that go into it. One is contract requirements, very clear contract requirements and deliverables that have measurable outcomes and goals within that. And then you also have to have, the second part of this is a very solid oversight plan from government, a way of checking and checks and balances on the contractor. And the third is the wherewithal within the contracting community to actually hold the contractors accountable for not meeting contract requirements and providing the information that's required to maintain accountability and fiscal responsibility for those parts.
Sure, thank you for that. We got a long day ahead of us working on the NDAA. I'm glad that we're having this hearing to discuss concerns with what's our largest federal agency, so we can continue to do better. And Mr. Chairman, I yield back. Thank you.